she's like, I only drink from bags. And he's like, well, you're going to have to drink from me because I just signed on to be your breakfast.
This is culturally like one of the dirtiest, grossest, most forbidden things that a Lycae could have done to them.
And boy, it is horny.
Ooh, turns out it feels so good.
Mm-hmm.
He loves it.
I'm Melody Carlisle.
And I'm Sabrina Bradley.
And this is Heaving Bosoms.
Stack our shelves with the clinches out. Shout it from the rooftop, can you hear the sound? Yeah. Live your best life, love it out loud. Love it out loud.
This is the podcast where best friends recap romance novels and other kissing media that makes us swoon, snark, and refills our cups.
Whether you've read the book or are coming in blind, we'll lay bare every delicious scene and revel in the tropes and subgenres that make romance amazing.
All right, listener, strap in and strap on. Headphones are highly recommended.
Do we remember how to do this? I don't know that we do.
Listener, you just missed quite a bit of behind the scenes. Oh, forgot this. Oh, fuck.
Jeez.
Heads up, listener. This is our first recording since I was in California for lots of reasons, but one of the main ones being Steamy LitCon. And so it's been
Whoop, whoop.
a really long time since we've recorded.
Yeah.
Like, where's this document? How does this
do I set up my
program work?
desk? Where do I plug
what do I
in?
do? What do I do with my hands?
Is my fan on? What do I do with my hands? All these are great questions. Great questions. All right, but we figured it out. We prevailed, Sabrina.
We did.
You and me, we had patience with each other. We gave each other a lot of grace.
Thank
And then
God.
we're here now.
We are here by the grace of Grace Goodwin.
That's right.
We are here.
Yes.
Mel.
Yeah.
So, as you know, I went to Steamy LitCon
Yeah.
this past weekend. I have a confession to tell you.
Oh no, tell me everything.
So, Anita Kelly was also at Steamy Lit.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. Oh my
It
God.
was exciting, but I couldn't ask her about the cow, Mel. I couldn't fucking do it.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, I had the most... Okay, so you know how sometimes...
What kind of Sherlock Holmes are you even? We did not Sherlock Holmes at Steamy Lit 2024.
I'm a sure didn't. I'm a sure didn't. Okay, so what happened was literally, it started off where, like, I was there, technically as Kim's assistant, which it was, like, super chill, whatever. And so, like, I had time to walk around and, like, talk to authors and get signatures and, like, meet people. It was wonderful. And it started off with, I only stopped at tables that had, like, one person in line max, right? Like, I wasn't trying to be stuck in a line. And every time I walked past her table, she had a line.
Oh.
And every time I walked past her table, I thought to myself, don't forget to ask Anita Kelly about the cow.
Yeah. We have bovine questions.
I did that a lot of times. The first time I walked past her table, I was like, oh, don't forget to ask about the cow. The next time I was like, don't forget to ask about the cow. Don't forget to ask about, and it just kept progressively getting more, like, intense until, like, the first time she had no line and my brain was like, ask her about the cow.
Anita Kelly owes me answers that I have been waiting for secretly.
And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna chill out. Because, like, I was fine the rest of it. Like, I was meeting people. I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to meet you. I love your work. It just never got better, Mel. If anything, it got worse. Every fucking second time I walked past her table, my brain was like, cow, 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 cow story, cow story.
And then all of a sudden, you go up to Anita Kelly and you're just mooing. And that can't be a thing that happens in the world.
I was terrified of what I would do. Like, she'd be like, hi. And instead of being like, oh my God, I loved your book. Like, we just did it on pod and it was fantastic. It was amazing. Like, the scene where London and Dahlia did blah, blah, blah was just so cute. And like the representation, like, was any of that going to happen? No. What was going to happen was I was going to walk up. She was going to look up at me and smile. And I was going to be like, or I'd be like, cow, I need the cow story. I need a cow.
You know what? You made the responsible and kind decision.
I did. This is the decision equivalent of like somebody walking up when you're already a little tipsy at the bar and they're like, hey, I ordered too many shots. It's 1:30 and we're leaving in 30 minutes. But like, you want to come help me finish them? And I was like, no, I don't.
I'm healthy human.
I'm going to more like I am not driving, but also like I don't want that hangover in the morning. Because do you know the hangover I would have had if I had walked up to Anita Kelly and cowed all over them?
And mooed on her? You might have the same hangover that Erin did when she suggested to Sally Thorne that she masturbated to her book on the plane.
Oh my God. Yes, that's exactly. Oh my God. I would never fucking recover.
Listener, that's an old story in an episode long, long ago, and I don't know which one, but it's
I don't
amazing.
either, but I remember that story.
You realize, Sabrina, I just need you to know that there is a good 82% chance that because we have talked so much about this, my brain is only going to glom on to the fact that you mooed at Anita Kelly and not the fact that it's in a fictional scenario. There's going to be a really good chance that I accidentally gaslight you by being like, remember that time you mooed at Anita Kelly?
No, the worst part is my own Swiss cheese memory. It's entirely possible that like 6 months from now, you're going to be like, yeah, you remember that time you mooed at Anita Kelly? And I'm going to be like, oh my God, it was so embarrassing. Because like in my head, I've already lived and died.
Yes.
So many times that you can gaslight me into remembering booing.
Oh my God. And then at some point we talked to Anita Kelly and you very sincerely apologized for mooing at her that time.
So sorry for mooing at you. And Anita Kelly's like,
do you have an ideal to somebody else? Like,
you okay? How you doing? Do you need some water?
The answer is it's fine over here, okay, everybody?
Everything is fine.
Okay, it's especially fine in Patreon land. Sabrina?
I'm so sorry. I'm going to be randomly laughing throughout this entire episode because my brain is just going to be like, oh man, remember that time you mooed at Anita Kelly? And I'm like, but I didn't. And then I'm going to giggle.
I didn't.
Anyway, hello,
Maybe
patrons.
We should write yourself a post-it. Did not moo at Anita Kelly and just like have it by
I'm going to set up like a weekly reminder in my phone that pops up like Monday mornings at 7 a.m. That's like, you can have a good week. You did not moo at Anita Kelly.
I wish that I could cross-stitch. I can't. I've never cross-stitched before, but I would cross-stitch you a wall hanging.
Oh my God. I would love that wall hanging. And I want it to be a gaslight, right? Like I want the wall hanging to be like, remember that time you mooed at Anita Kelly at the Steamy LitCon 2024?
Oh, see, I wasn't going to go evil with it. I was going to go chaotic good. And just have it be like, did not moo at Anita Kelly. Exclamation point.
I love that one too. I love all of them. Oh my God. I want both. And I'm going to put them in different rooms.
Yes.
Don't forget, you mooed at Anita Kelly at Steamy LitCon 2024. And the other one is going to be like, don't worry, you didn't actually moo at Anita Kelly 2024. And I'm going to have one like like coming out of a room and coming into the room. And so like you can't see them at the same time. And so depending on what room I'm in, I'm like, oh shit. Oh God. Why have we come up with the most?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I would have wished this on my worst enemy.
Yeah, right? You're just coming up with the CIA tortures.
Mel,
What's
I
up?
do wish this on my worst enemy.
Okay.
I do wish this on my worst enemy, which is that asshole that has the Spy Master book. I have a nemesis. Why it has been 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks since we last recorded, and I have a fucking Nemesis Watch 2024 update. Oh my God. Nemesis Watch, though. I have the second book.
Okay.
The third.
It's yours.
And the fourth book. 4-week hold. I'm in the third
how?
week. I don't fucking know. I was like, who is suddenly obsessed in Arkansas with the Spy Master series by Joanna Bourne? And you know what? You want to know what I wish on them? So I've already wished, what was it? Legos. I've wished that, like, you can never take another right turn, like all sorts of heinous stuff.
Yes.
My newest curse. And just a reminder to all of my nemesis at this point, because there's multiples. If you just give up the book and confess,
hit return.
I will send you stickers and forgive you. Just give me the fucking book. Anyway, but my newest curse is I hope that you remember that beautiful time that you met Anita Kelly at Steamy LitCon 2024. And you live a year knowing you didn't moo at Anita Kelly. And that at the next Steamy LitCon, somebody makes a comment that makes you go, what? Did I?
Is that something I did?
Did I do something fucking weird in front of Anita Kelly? And then you find out the year after you've had a year of like questioning yourself. You find out.
Oh, Sabrina's mad.
You mooed. You find out you mooed and that you've been acting like everything's normal between you and Anita Kelly for the last 2 years. And then she's like, oh yeah, I remember you. You mooed at me a few years ago. And that's all you said. And then you just ran away and I never saw you again. That's what I wish for you. All right, let's talk to patrons who definitely didn't moo at Anita Kelly. And I wish only the best.
That's right. Hey, thank you for being part of the Patreon community. That, you know, y'all are what make the podcast go. There's no way that I would be able to do podcast at all if it weren't for the Patreon community. So, hey, thanks and welcome to Geraldine L. and Violet A.
I'm so sorry. I'm literally crying. Hang on. Oh. Thank you to Van Isle Girk and Unog,
Brenda and Sarah P,
Chantal O and Laura,
Krista S and Jocelyn F,
Kim H and Lauren K. Thank you. We appreciate
Thank you. Yeah.
And if you ever get to meet us in person, feel free to moo.
Yeah. We might not know what you're talking about.
We're going to
We'll have to explain it to
We're going to forget. Oh my God, listener, if you ever meet one of us in person, this would be the funniest fucking thing you could ever do, is moo at us, because we will have forgotten 1,000%, even though we did spend 15 minutes doing it. I don't know how long it is in the final episode, but like it was 15 minutes of us discussing mooing at Anita Kelly.
Poor Anita Kelly.
God, this is going to be the episode that gets sent to her too.
It's just...
It's not going to be the one where we talk about how beautiful and like the representation, how much we love her book. It's going to be the episode where we talk about gaslighting ourselves. Anyway, the funniest fucking thing you can possibly do is come up and instead of greeting us, just be like, moo. I'm so happy to meet you, Melody. And we're going to be like,
I would be like, moo to you as well.
That's exactly too. Especially because you and I are both so awkward that we're not going to be like, did you just moo at me?
We're just going to go with it. I'm going to yes and you into Bovine Town.
or you're going to moo at us and we'll be like, we can't. Man, this is going to be a fucking hot episode right now because, like, this book is already bonkers as fuck, and I think you and I got into the sugar. Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Okay.
All
wow.
right.
Hey, listener, we're here to recap A Hunger Like No Other by Cressley Cole. And I will say, this man has never met a cow he doesn't want to eat. So that's how the banter applied to this. You're welcome.
What?
We're evil geniuses.
Melody, that was the most fucking unhinged segue.
Sabrina, he eats no less than 8 21-ounce steaks in the first chapter
Okay,
alone.
That is, oh God, you're so fucking right. You know what? That's a great segue, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, hey, listener. Actually, Mel, we've come, like, look at this. Look how cute we are. We've come, like, full circle. I was thinking about this because one of the very first episodes that we ever did before I was ever an official co-host was The Warlord Once Forever, which is the first book in the Immortals After Dark series. And now, almost exactly a year later, we're fucking doing the second book.
Yeah. Well, and we're doing the book that most people consider to be book 1, which is very interesting to me.
I
The
cannot
Mist
live
Erasure?
by those rules.
No. The Mist Erasure cannot be stood for. No, we won't do it. So, yes, we're fucking adorable. And I'm really excited because I've been waiting to read Immortals After Dark until, like, we get to do it for pod because it's so talked about in Romancelandia that I want it to be fresh if possible. And so here we go, everybody. A Hunger Like No Other. Cressley Cole is coming out swinging in this prologue because the hero has been tortured in some very hot Parisian catacombs for he doesn't know how long even. But it's been like many dozens of years, he bets.
He is literally, because he's immortal, getting burned alive to almost death and then brought back to life and then almost dying and then brought back to life. And this is happening for so long. He's trapped by some vampire assholes.
Yeah. He's a lichen because he's a werewolf. He's a lichen. And they are natural born enemies.
Ooh.
They're nemesis from the womb.
They hate each other.
Hate each other.
These nemesis will not be fixed by an apology and stickers.
No, it's going to take a lot more than that. It might even take, I don't know, a fated mate situation. Because he is down there. All of a sudden, he does a mild sniff when the flames die down. And suddenly, he smells his mate. He smells her, it says. And he's been looking for her for his entire existence. Turns out that's about 1,200 years. Like, he's been putting the elbow grease into it. So in this catacomb situation, he is bound to the wall or floor or both by 2 magical chains per appendage. Okay, so he's got 2 rings on his arms, each arm. He's got 2 rings on each leg. But suddenly, because his mate is available, okay? His mate exists in the world, and she is close. Suddenly, he can find the gumption to just bust out of these chains. And so he busts his arm, and then he busts his other arm, and then he manages to yoink one of his legs out. But then the last one won't budge. And so
that's the most unhinged fucking thing. This is what made me read this book.
Yeah.
And this is when I thought this was the first book in the series. And maybe it is. Who knows? And somebody was like, yeah, this is the book where he gnaws off his own leg to get to his lady love. And I was like,
in the prologue.
What?
That's not even the climax, okay?
No, it's not.
He gnaws
It's
his
not.
own leg off as the reader meet cute is what he does. And yeah, so he breaks his own bones with his hands, and then he just starts like clawing and chewing through the tendon and the skin and the muscle and the everything until he can just hobble away from those enchanted shackles.
Okay, I have a question for you, Mel.
Yeah.
Boner Town.
Boner watch. Cressley Cole style.
Cressley Cole boner watch.
Yes.
Guaranteed. In the most unhinged situations.
Yeah.
He has now smelled his mate. Do you think he had a boner while he had to gnaw his own leg off?
And he was like regrowing his appendage because chapter 1 starts 1 week later. So are you saying that he might have had a 1 week boner amidst all of the pain and torture?
If you remember, in Warlord Wants Forever, dude had a 5-year boner.
In this brain. Yeah. As soon as he meets his mate, suddenly he had a boner that would not go away. And he suffered under the bonerage for 5 whole years until he found her again.
Do you think this legless, gnawing his own leg off man had a boner while trying to chew his own leg off?
That would be incredible. Right? Like, not only because he's a completely different species, Roth is a vampire and he is a lichen, he's a werewolf. So, like, that's got to be a different physiology, right? But I feel like he probably has a supernatural mate boner. I think that's canon.
I mean, he's got to have a mate boner.
He has to have a mate boner. And, like, that's one of the reasons that his leg isn't healing that fast.
Oh my God, that is not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to make the heinous joke that it's fine that he has to wait for that leg to grow back.
Because he has a third leg, Sabrina. No.
I mean, these dudes are packing in this series,
truly are.
Okay?
Yeah, there are supernatural penises up in here.
Split you in half at the nethers kind of package situation.
That is a phrase that's verbatim used in the book. I will split her in half.
Yeah,
if I multiple times. Right.
It was also used in Warlord Wants Forever. It's also used in the 3rd and the 4th book. Like,
yeah.
They're all packing.
Hey HBs, there is a brand new rockstar contemporary romance that's out now, and I think you're going to love it. It's called Auction in Australia by N.C. Ross, and it's the 3rd in their International Desires series. 7 nights, 1 fake boyfriend to help her lose her V-card. It's only a vacation fling, isn't it? Here's the description. Nora Grand, Pop's purity princess, is the world's biggest rock star. One would think that means she has control over her own life, or at least her own body. But her parents and manager have other ideas. When they schedule her for a celebrity marriage stunt, Nora knows exactly what they're trying to do, and she's over it. If she's going to trade in her V-card, she will do it on her own terms. At a masked bachelor auction, she meets Luke. He's sexy, swoony, and as a professional, he'll make her first time so good. Bonus, he doesn't seem to know who she is. They just have to escape from the paparazzi and her security detail first. Hijinks ensue. Join Luke and Nora as they flee across Australia and deal with some major pants feelings in this high-heat rockstar romance with gender-swapped Pretty Woman vibes. HEA guaranteed. I'm putting buy links in the show notes for Auction in Australia, and so you know what to do. It's out in all eyeball formats and in Kindle Unlimited.
Okay, so we zippy zap away from him, and chapter 1 is 1 week later, and we meet Emmeline. Emmeline is only 70, okay? She's a baby. She's a preteen, I think. Probably, she's a youth in supernatural times, right? She's a youth?
She's a youth.
Yeah, she has to be at least a youth because of what happens later for me to feel okay about it.
One of my biggest regrets about podcast that I've ever said on podcast, and this is saying a lot because I've said a lot of things. It is referring to early 20s people, like making the distinction that like you cannot be under 18 as a youth, okay? Because I catch myself even when I'm talking to people who would have no idea. I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. They're just youths. But it's like a 16-year-old, and I'm like, no. Like in my head, I'm like, no. And I'm like, I regret making that distinction on podcast. Can I like retroactively take that back?
No, it's done.
Okay.
It's done. Yeah, I think it might have to be a reading embrace category next year.
God. Are they?
There's a youth.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God.
Okay, so she is in Paris right now, and it's her first foray away from her coven because she is half vampire, half Valkyrie. I didn't know that was possible. Thank you, Kresley Cole, for introducing that so early in the series. I feel like that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So she just found out that where she's been getting blood, because she's never drunk blood from the source before, she always has it in like blood bags or whatever. She has like a subscription in New Orleans to the blood bank, literally. And she just found out that her blood guy has fucked off to the south of France because some king has gotten loose. I didn't catch this until the second read. Because some king has gotten loose and shit's about to go down. He's talking about Lachlan. Right? I did not catch that.
I've also read this book twice. Granted, the first time I read this book, I did go look
Ages
at my
ago.
history. It was 3 years ago, so it's like it never happened, right?
No, it never happened.
So she gets a call from her aunties, all of her Valkyrie aunties, and they're like, you need to get to the fucking airport right now. You're in danger. And she knows that because she is watching a crazed asshole, because she doesn't know he's a werewolf yet.
6'6" giant man, eyes trained on her.
He full out is Godzilla walking in it, like throwing umbrellas, knocking people's tables over.
He's flipping
Sir.
tables on the way.
This is the most dramatic possible entrance you could have made, you and your tiny baby leg. Because,
Oh my God.
because all I could think, every time they mention it, all I could think of was that scene in that Deadpool movie
Yes.
with
yes,
the
yes,
baby
yes.
legs. That's all I could think of. And so, like, all I could imagine was him, like, one little leg, like, it was an image, okay? It was an image in my head. And she's like, yeah, I know I'm in danger. Gotta go.
And so they're like, get to the jet. And she's like, no worries. So she goes sprinting. They're like, leave your stuff, leave everything, just get to the jet. She sprints all the way there. She thinks she makes it, but then she feels a claw on her ankle and he tackles her to the ground. And doesn't he say, "Dunna run from one like me"?
Never run from one such
Yeah.
as me, female. You will not get away. And we like it. And I was
We like it, he
what's
says.
up, Lachlan? Let's fucking go.
And you know what? That is a check written and a check cashed.
Oh my God. So written. So cashed.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's one thing Kresley Cole is really good at. Like, she, like, promises a premise and delivers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, for sure.
So he is like, oh my, so he gets up on her. He's snuffling up on her neck because he's got to get that mate scent into his brain. And then he looks at her and he's like, oh no, fate couldn't be so terrible to me. That he's thinking this, like, I searched the world for 1,200 years and then they gave me a bloodsucker. They gave me a leech for a mate. Oh, he's so mad about it. And he makes it very clear to her face.
Yes. And he's like, take me back to wherever you're staying. He's like, where's your man? And she's like, I don't have a man. And he's like, all of the people who love you are shitty for leaving you alone in this world. Take me to your home. And so she takes him to her Parisian apartment that she's staying in while she's here. And they get into that room. And, like, this book is horny from start to finish, okay? Like, he pushes her up against a wall.
I don't know that it's horny.
Okay. It's sexual?
Yes, it's definitely sexual. And it's, like, one-sidedly horny. But it's also, like, a metric
listener,
fuck ton of non-consent.
This is a lot of... Well, no, but it's like body betrayal is what it really is.
But it starts as non-consent, and then once he gets to rubbing, there's some body betrayal happening.
From Melody, she's like, why is this making me wet? And
oh, yeah, I've never been wet in my life, she says.
Yeah, so he's like, kiss me back, creature, because he has her shoved up against the wall. He's like,
wait, this is my favorite line in maybe the entire book. He looks her dead in the face, and he says, kiss me like you want to live.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
And she's like, why am I wet right now? I hate this.
I don't know what's happening. That is the scary
because she does kiss him back. And this is her
and she also doesn't know how to kiss.
This is her first kiss ever. She is a 71-year-old kissless virgin. Okay?
Because that's a youth. It's like a youth in supernatural times. Well, and so she also has some issues because since she's half vampire, the vampires are like the most hated supernatural creatures of the big ones.
Specifically the Horde, right?
Yeah, the Horde.
We learned about the Horde. We learned about the Forebearers in
yes.
that other episode.
The ones who eat humans and kill them to do it, those are hated amongst everyone. And so she has been hidden from her vampire father by the coven of Valkyries that her mom belonged to. And so unfortunately, she's spent her whole life hearing like, oh my gosh, those leeches, no offense, I'm not talking about you. Oh my gosh, vampires are the absolute worst. I could crush them with my boot.
This
Emmeline,
made me
obviously
so
not you.
Sad.
Yes!
Especially because, so he even makes a comment in his own head at one point in this book where he's like, how must it have been for her to grow up hearing things like this from her aunts her entire life and not take it in? I will never do that to her. And then turns around and does the exact same fucking thing. And I'm like, Lachlan, I'm going to need you to take a hard look in the mirror, my friend.
Lachlan's never met a mirror in his life. Anyway, so so because of this, like, she's really, really afraid of giving into her vampire nature or like her vampire instincts because she thinks that if she does anything that's like mildly hedonistic, it will turn into bloodlust and she will start murdering for food and then she'll never be the same again. And she's a horde now. So she feels like any kind of, physical undertaking that's not like training or painting her nails is a slippery slope to killing a man on the street, basically.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, and then, oh my God, this was one of my favorite. There's a lot of favorite things. This book is a wild ride, listener, and we're going to skip so much.
We have to skip so much.
And he starts bitching at her because she's covered in mud. Okay. He's like, you're dirty and mud. And it's like, sir, I am like that because you tackled me in the rain.
Yeah.
Into the mud.
This is your doing, sir. And so he's like, where's your cleanup facility? I don't know about modern times. So she takes him into the bathroom and he's like, turn on the water however you can and wash yourself.
Every time she calls him a time capsule, I die. This book is so funny. Like,
yes, it's so
she's
good.
Very witty. And so he's like,
okay,
undress for me and let me see what's mine.
Yeah, big trigger warning for coercion and non-consent, body betrayal. Gosh, just everything
violence.
In that arena.
There's a lot.
If you want to threats, if you want to put all of that, anything that you think could possibly be under that umbrella, that's what we're trigger warning for right now.
Yeah. All right. And that's the last time it's going to happen.
And I'm sorry. That's it.
All right. We're going up the roller coaster now. That was that part of the roller coaster. And now, time to go. Whee! Because he's like, undress for me and let me see what's mine. And then they're in the shower. Oh, no. She gets in the shower and he goes back into their room. He fucking unhinges his goddamn jaw like a viper and swallows like 17 pounds of steak whole.
Yeah.
Scares the poor...
He steals somebody else's room service right out of the nose of the other guy. The poor server has to go back and be like, I has no steak anymore. Please make more steak.
Some dude. Except probably he was like, just put it on the tab because that's Lachlan's favorite phrase.
Oh, yeah.
Put it on my bill.
Yeah.
And guess who's footing that bill? It's not him. Oh, he also throws a temper tantrum and is just like shredding things and like throwing things. And he's just so angry and pissed off. And his beast is right there underneath his skin. The beast is like, I have a lot of feelings. And it's like, can we talk
and it's also
about
like,
this, bro?
Mate, claim, do all the thing, but do it like the most PTSD way you can, his beast is telling him. So he gets into the shower with her and she's like, whoa, what about privacy? And he says, you have none, which keeps going all the way through. And he is like basically trying to pick her up and enter her right in the shower. And she's being like, whoa, 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 like, no. And then finally he turns her around and like pushes her up against a wall. He does a dubious consensual finger bang on her. And it's the first time she's ever been touched by anybody. Meanwhile, he's essentially being like, there's not a lore creature that's not a slut. So like, don't try to play with me and act all innocent, you slutty vampire. I know you. And like, I know that you just love sucking dicks and killing men afterwards, or maybe killing them while sucking their dicks. We'll get to that.
I just didn't hate this scene. It was so hot.
It was.
I'm so sorry. It was like, so we did all of those trigger warnings, and like, you know what? It's a hot fucking book. That's why I said it was horny from start to finish. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how she did it, but she did it for me.
I don't either, because I've read scenes like this in books, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna have to come back from this. And in this book, I was like, let's fucking go, like fucking, let's go.
But she is completely and utterly confused by all of this.
Oh yeah. Can you imagine?
Oh, no, she doesn't come. I'm sorry. She doesn't come. That's important. But she does feel
very
real good.
Importantly. Yeah, no, she doesn't come for a very... This book is 78% edging, just so you know, listener.
Yeah, I could go with you there.
Yeah. So he makes like some promise about how he won't touch her, and then he immediately breaks that promise, as we just discussed. And he turns her around and he's like, it's fuck time. And then he realizes she's terrified, and she's tight now, because she's like tensed up, and he's like, oh my God, she won't relax. I'm never going to be able to get my dick in there. And it's like, yeah, bro, you're fucking scary. Like,
you're coming
at her with a goddamn sledgehammer.
And you're not presenting a very relaxing environment, okay?
You are a sledgehammer wielded by a hammer, my friend, okay? Like, there's not a single thing about this that is comforting, okay?
Yeah.
Even for what you think is some fucking slut vampire who gets on her knees 24/6. Like, she gets one day off from dick sucking, and you happen to find her on that one day. Sorry, bro. What?
No, truly. Like, he is a sledgehammer wielded by a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Like, it's not great.
And when that bomb goes off, it's just gonna be dicks everywhere, okay? Like, he is so fucking horny after 15 years of being burned alive. He's gonna come back. 15
decades.
Who the fuck? Yeah. Yes.
That's
and like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, when that time bomb goes off, there's gonna be a dick in every hole. And when I say every hole, I mean every hole. Okay, like.
So then he's like, okay, I understand that you won't relax or whatever, and so just like give me a behind the back handy. That's what I need from you right now. Which is pretty much exactly what happened in book 1 with Wrath and Mist in that Nola courtyard. He jacks off at her butt.
This is a Crestley Cole behind the back handy TM. Okay? Like, nobody's else is allowed to do it. We're trademarking it for you, Crestley Cole. It's fine.
You're welcome, frankly.
You know, law and how contracts work and things like that. And this is like,
no charge, Presley. Don't worry about it. Okay? That's on us.
No charge. So then he is like, okay, it's sleepy by time. By the way, it makes a comment about how, like, he comes all over the shower. And I'm like, this man is so tall. There's no way this woman is not dripping in werewolf cum right now.
Like, thank God it's in the shower. Jesus. Especially after 150 years.
Oh my God.
Do you think he got so used to the flames that he just started jerking it in torture times?
I don't know.
Do you think that like he was like, I need some kind of good in my life, and so I am gonna try to orgasm in between being burned to death?
No, I don't think he'd be quite this desperate.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, no, shit. Fair. Yeah, because like, so here's the other thing is what comes out organically throughout the book, and we will just tell you it right now, is that not only does he have a cultural hatred of vampires. He has a personal hatred of vampires for like shit they did in the wars of yore. Lots of family killed by vampires. He has a very present thing against them with just having been tortured for 150 years by them. Very enthusiastically.
Fair. Okay? Like, I don't
know all of that is fair.
You for hating vampires.
He doesn't explain to her that is the reason he has absolutely zero care for her in the first third of the book.
The first half of the book also, he's like, I clearly am fucked up in the head after being tortured, and there's no way she can possibly actually be my mate. Like, this is just a hallucination, or not a hallucination, but it's a I can't think of the word. God, there's some listener out there screaming.
So I know. He hoped so badly for a mate that he just sort of conjured it. Turns out she's a vampire, but it's gotta be because he was coming off that 150-year torture.
Yes.
So they then get out, and he's like, get in the bed. And she's like, I absolutely will not do that. And he's like, listen, you're getting in that bed one way or another. I was gonna just sleep, but if not, you let me know, and then we can do something else. And so she's like, okay, I'll get in the bed.
Then, I was going to say, this is the first time that he's a bad caretaker, but he's basically nonstop bad caretaker. But this is specifically this is bad taking care of your vampire, because he's schnuzzled up with her and holding her so she can't get away.
Oh my God, he's never snuggled a woman before. He's never slept next to a woman before, and it turns out he really likes it. That's shocking. And also, poor Emma really also likes it and hates herself for it a little bit.
I mean, same Emma, though. Yeah. As I was reading it, ooh, how sweet. I'm like, Sabrina, what the fuck? So he wakes up at sunrise, right? And he's like, oh, man, I like having that lady in my bed. And then he's like, oh my God, she's burning and in pain. Because he says, look at the beautiful highlights in her hair that are coming through because of the sun. OMG, sun! I gotta get up and close the curtains. He almost kills his new mate day 2 because he forgets about the sun situation. I feel like this is technically day 1. I feel like it was night when they met.
I was gonna say day 1 as well.
This is the first 24 hours.
Yeah, that's fair. Day 1. Absolutely. So basically, he is telling her that, they stay in the hotel for one more night, right? Mm-hmm. And he, starts to get acclimated.
He acclimates real quick to this time. He finds that concierge, and he's like, I got this fancy black Amex card that apparently has a lot of money attached to it. And so he buys new clothes. He rents a fancy car, which every time they were talking about cars, I was like, herbs. It's fine. So he's also been creeping through stuff. He makes a comment.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He makes a comment that audacity makes kings, and it was time to reclaim his crown.
Oh my God. He's correct.
Was like, you have never been more right.
Yeah. That's just straight up bud. Cressley Cole wisdom that came through that character's mouth just now.
10,000%. And so she wakes up, and he's perusing her, and oh my God, no, she doesn't wake up.
No.
He is perusing her in her sleep, and like a fucking lunatic knows she's going to wake up soon and is like, after last night, you want to know the best way to greet the day with her?
That happens now.
I'm going down on her. He freaking is going down on her, and she's into it because she's asleep, and her body's like, oh yeah, I love that. So
I have nerve endings there, her body is saying. Look at my nerve endings fire.
And then she wakes up, and he's like, oh yeah, because she's moving her feet up onto his shoulders, and he's like, yeah, she likes this. And then she fucking donkey kicks him across the goddamn room. I was so proud of her.
Oh, we need another quick trigger warning because she goes out onto the balcony, and we are going to have a short discussion about threats of suicide, suicidal ideation. Mm-hmm. Okay. So he is he's tearing the room apart now because of the injustice of her kicking him away from her. And so he's oh man, the dresser's gone now. And there's claw marks on the wall and he's roaring. And it's a whole thing. And then he's like, I'm going to go get her. This is ridiculous. I got to go get her. So he goes out onto the balcony and she is doing a preternatural balance on the railing of the really high up balcony. And looking down, like she's on her toes, looking down, contemplating jumping off. And he says, wait, stop, don't do that. And this is important because it's the first time he realizes what it would feel like if he lost her. And so this is the first time that he starts being like, maybe I'll be a little bit nicer to this vampire.
Also he specifically notes that, this is a woman who won't bend, she'll break.
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's horrified that he's brought her to this because he's like, well, you're not going to die. And she's like, I might.
I actually might with the condition I'm in right now because she hasn't eaten since Monday. She's half Valkyrie. Like, she's weak right now. He doesn't know it quite yet. And so she's like, I actually could die. And it sounds great.
Well, and then he starts promising a lot of stuff, even knowing, because we're in his head right now, even knowing that he's lying the entire time, he is promising her all sorts of things. He's like, I'm not, like, I'll take you home. I won't touch you unless you want me to touch you. I
won't hurt you.
Doing anything he can to convince her to get off of this ledge. And then finally she does. And she agrees to take him to the Highlands because he doesn't know how to drive. He can't get there on his own.
I know I'm belaboring the point, but it really was one of their interactions just hit me really hard. And I feel like we've said it in a nutshell. But basically, at one point, he asks her, is jumping off of this balcony better than the idea of being with me? And she says, in the form that I've been presented right now, absolutely, without doubt, without question, I would be in a better situation.
I loved that was not only stated on page in this book, but it was stated to him. Because I've read some romances where the heroine feels that way, but she doesn't actually say it to them. She just like works through it in her own head and things get better. Or I'm thinking it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's never stated on page. And so like the fact that she acknowledges to his face, like, you're fucking terrifying. And like, part of me thinks it would be better to jump off of this fucking balcony than spend another minute with you.
This is absolutely untenable. Like, there's no way around it. So he promises all these things. She gets down. She goes back into the suite. And he tells her that she doesn't have to stay with him forever. He just needs her help until the full moon. And this is a blatant outright lie. And she's like, okay, I guess so. And he's like, so we're going to go on a road trip back to my home. And that's in Scotland. And she's like, what? No, I couldn't possibly do that. And then she's like, oh no, he doesn't know how to drive a car, blah-de-blee. Like, okay, I guess. And one of the things that happened in the shower the night before was the way that he got her undressed at all was that he offered her a boon for a boon. So if she got undressed, he would allow her to call her family at some point, which later on, oh my God, there's a point at which he asks her, you would have sex with me just so you can leave me? And she looks at him and she says, what did I do for only a phone call? And it is crushing. It is
brutal.
Beautifully savage. Oh my God. Anyway, but not right now. So he's like, call your family, and she gets on the phone, and she can't lie to them because in Cressley Cole's world, vampires cannot lie. It physically hurts to lie. So she needs to tell them, I'm not coming home, but she also doesn't want to tell them that she's with this dude. I think she already knows that he's a Lycan, right? He's Lycae? Yes. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, she finds out because she's like, oh, all of this makes sense. Because as far as she has learned about Lycans her whole life, they're just animals with human skin.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, I'm still horrified, but also like, this tracks.
Right. And so one of her aunts is like, you're in danger. And she's like, yeah, 10-4, fucking got that. And the lady's like, wait, you've seen a vampire? And so at this point, she's like, vampire? What are you talking about? Because vampire are all over the globe hunting down Valkyrie. And they don't know why. And so they're like, you need to be safe. We need you to come home. And she says, I think I'm going to be safe with this dude. He says that he'll protect me. And she has to try to convince her aunt that this is real. And so the aunt is like, what are you talking about? Like, you probably are just attracted to him because you want to drink him. Like, it's not sexual. And she's like, no, I think it's like mostly only sexual. And the aunt just can't believe it because she's never shown any interest whatsoever.
Okay, to be fair,
So-
she's also never been afforded the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
man, I've never seen a baked good in my life, but you sure don't like cupcakes. You know?
Yes. So she is like, well, you know what? I find him wildly handsome is a true thing I can say out loud to my aunt. And they end up getting off the phone, and he has eavesdropped on the entire conversation. He knows that she finds him handsome. And both times she's like, emphasis on the wild.
Wait, I have one quote
Yeah.
that had me cackling because she's on the phone with her aunt, and her aunt's like, okay, well, remember your training if you come across a vampire. Yes. And she says, would that be the sword training where you fly past my defenses and swat me on the ass, chirping, dead, another swat, dead, another swat. Yeah, I'll get right on that. And then her aunt's like, no, that would be the training where you sprint like hell whenever you hear that I'm looking for you to train.
It's so
and I was like, that's a mood.
Yeah.
HBs, have you noticed a devastating lack of mermaid books written for adults? Werewolves, vampires, witches, and fairies dominate fantasy, romance, and young adult, leaving mermaid lovers out to dry. Have no fear. Dishwasher Safe by M.J. Etkind is here. A new contemporary romance novel featuring mermaids in New England. And yes, mermaids are safe for the dishwasher. Here's the description. Elisa Latu is making a splash at the hottest new restaurant in Boston as an up-and-coming chef. By day, she walks among the landlubbers, but at night, she's bound to the ocean, forced to transform back to her mermaid form and rejoin a thriving mare community. For her entire life, Elise has been running from the suffocating expectations of her mother. In order to start fresh, she's swum far away from her home in the Pacific Islands to the other side of the world. Now, she's convinced that dating a human man will save her from the future her mother has laid out for her. Sean McClary is the newest dishwasher at the restaurant, but he doesn't seem to know how to operate the machinery. He's also living a less secret double life. Fisherman by day and dishwasher by night. When Elise swoops in to rescue the newest employee from a kitchen appliance, she wonders if he might be the human man of her dreams. Ooh! Okay, I put buy links in the show notes and you know what to do. Get your clickies out and do the clicky, and you can get Dishwasher Safe by M.J. Etkind right now.
So now we go on a road trip. Like, I think
Yes.
we got a motor, right?
Yeah, we're gonna motor basically through this entire
road trip. Yeah.
Basically, this whole road trip is they're slowly getting closer together, right? Like she'll start to trust him a little bit, then he'll do a fucked up thing that makes her not trust him. And then at one point they sleep together that whole night, and then he has like a temper tantrum in the middle of the night, and everything in the room is destroyed except for her. And when she wakes up and she's like, what the actual fuck? And he's like, okay, I promise I won't sleep next to you anymore because
he has very serious PTSD dreams. That's what was happening. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Absolutely. But I liked this with her because she's always considered herself like a meek sort of doormat. And in this way, he's like, don't you want to ask me about the thing that happened last night? And she's like, no, I just want to tell you that I'm fucking mad about it because you took my life in your hands. I'm completely defenseless when I'm sleeping, and you chose to put me in that situation where mere centimeters would have had me under your claws. And that's when he's like, oh, shit. Okay. She's starting to stand up for herself. Also, good point.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they keep on going on this road trip. At one point, he wants to go to a restaurant. He's hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't want to go in because she feels really weird. She thinks everybody's going to notice that she's not eating.
Mm-hmm. There's another scene that's like super
Yeah.
important to me because
Yeah.
they're at a hotel and they're in a bathtub and he's like rubbing her back because she's been driving all day and she's like exhausted. And then he like picks her up and moves her to like impale her on his massive rod. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does that, she like snuzzles up into his chest and he gets this like warm, fluffy, fuzzy feeling deep inside. And he's like, oh, she's starting to trust me. And then he like just cradles her instead of fucking her. And like
he just puts her
kisses the
next
top
to his
of-
massive rod.
and like kisses the top of her head. And she just like, honk me.
Yeah,
Honk,
she's
me,
sleeping in the back.
And like,
He does take very good care of her every night when they get out of the
and
car.
so like it's one of those things where he keeps doing like it's very much like he'll do something super duper sweet and she's into it, and then
two
he'll do
steps
something
forward, one step back
fucking
the whole time.
unhinged. Yeah,
Yeah.
because at one point he's asleep, so they're in separate rooms now because he has to sleep. So he's the one who started driving at some point, and she's like, "Hey, like
She's the one who started driving.
no, so at some point he starts driving.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And she is like, well, if you're driving now, can't you just like let me go, bro? And he's like, no, you promised to be until the full moon. And so you have to stay until the full moon. And she's like, what's the difference between a couple of days? And he's like, well, I mean, like,
I could
I
ask
want
you
you
the
in my
same thing.
bed. Also, all of this is going on your card. And if you come with me, apparently Valkyries, we learned this last time, but Valkyries really like a shiny thing.
They're like
They're like,
magpies.
They're acquisitive a little bit.
Mhm.
And he's like, I have a bazillion jewels that you can have. And she's never really had something of her own. And so she's like, yes, okay. I'll come with you.
Yeah, she wants payment in kind.
And so they're in separate bedrooms this night. And when she wakes up, this day, you know what I mean? When she wakes up, she can hear like noises from his room and she goes to check on him. And when she does, she wakes him kind of half up. He's in like a PTSD coming out of a dream haze. And from his point of view, he registers that there is a vampire around and he needs to protect his mate. Unfortunately, his mate is the vampire that's
the
around.
self-same vampire.
And so he ends up like choking her before he comes out of his fugue and busts a blood vessel. It's a whole thing. And so she is now petrified of him. Like this is 18 steps back. Like they have slowly been making progress and like he is horrified. She also has already started having these weird dreams.
No, she has not, because she's not fed from him yet, I don't think. Because at some point, listener, whether it's before or after this, on this road trip, he tries to wake her up one night and she's like, give me like another hour or whatever. And then he says, what's going on with you? You're so lethargic, but you're not injured. So you're not like healing or anything. And she's last eaten on Monday. And he's like, okay, well, how many times are you supposed to eat? And she's like, ugh, like it's just details, but every day. And he is absolutely horrified. And so this is when he gouges a hole.
Well, specifically, he tells her, she's like, I only drink from bags. And he's like, well, you're going to have to drink from me because I just signed on to be your breakfast.
Yeah.
And I loved
because she's
it.
refusing. She's like, go, like, if you're going to do this, because at first he puts his hand on her or something like that. And she's like, no. She's turning away from it. She's like, just go put it in a mug or something, just like drain it into a mug. And he's like, what is the difference? And she doesn't have the energy or the bandwidth, frankly, to explain it to him. And then finally, he just like opens her lips. And once she gets a taste of it from the faucet, she just goes ham on his arm. This is culturally like one of the dirtiest, grossest, most forbidden things that a Lycae could have done to them.
And boy, it is horny.
ooh, turns out it feels so good.
Mm-hmm.
He loves it. And so he starts like touching up on her boobs, and she's very into that too.
It was hot. It was hot, listener.
It was hot. No, it was hot. Period. The end. I'm sorry. And then she like launches herself away because she's like, I can't. This isn't me. I don't want this.
Also, I don't trust you, bro.
No, for sure.
I have a burst blood vessel in my fucking eyeball.
Yes.
Because you almost strangled me to death because you hate vampires so much.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So now she starts having dreams that are from his perspective. And she doesn't realize that's what it is at first. Well, she thinks like maybe they're dreams, but then she wonders if they're memories. And that was a whole thing in book 1, too, because it turns out like an entire lineage of vampires can get the memories of people they drink from directly. She's one of them, I guess.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, because I remembered it because he got so mad at Mist. And she's like, if you would have just stayed longer in the memory, you would have found out that like then I punched him in the nuts. Or whatever.
Oh my God, you're totally right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah. Okay, so now that he knows that it's horny to be breakfast, he's like, hey, so are you thirsty? I mean, it's like no big deal, but are you hungry at all?
Oh my God, he is always like, do you want a little snicky snack?
Do you want me to like nick my neck? Just offering, just in case
if you're interested.
A little bit peckish. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that from you, and I don't want to do it, period. Like, I want to find blood from a blood bank, but she also knows that it's, like, never been so good when it's warm and, you know, it's got his pheromones all over it.
Straight from his flesh. And
golly.
Like, yeah, blood-sucking is never not horny. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I've ever read a vampire romance where I'm like, oh, damn, yeah, that's just some blood.
Yeah,
blood
or
drinking.
an orc romance, for that matter.
that too. We also have a couple of scenes that are really important. One is where he makes a comment, like a mate-ish comment, and then he's like, ha, don't worry, you could never be my mate, but you could be my mistress if you wanted. And we have another scene where
what is his deal? I was so mad at him. You're not good enough to be my mate, but I'll fuck you on the side, maybe. Like, what? Dude.
Yeah, that's basically
what
it.
Kind of, is that what you think is charm, you weird time capsule?
Well, yeah, that's from her point of view, basically. Yeah, that's exactly it. There's another scene where they witness other people being horny for the other person and get a little, like, jelly about it because she's, like,
a little territorial.
Pulled out the full femme fatale. And he is annoyed that she looks like this in front of all of these people.
Well, because he's also got old-timey standards for clothing. So, like, she shows a wrist, and he's like, wait a second.
But yeah, she like can tell that he is into it. And then he's like, of course I'm horny for you. You may not be my mate, but it's been a long time since I've had a woman. And she's all sad. So he's basically nagging the shit out of her.
And this part
all the way
of
through
that 2 steps forward, 1 step back dynamic, because she's like, she really likes the feeling of someone being attracted to her. And then he'll say some shit like that. And she's like, oh, of course it's not me. It's just my parts. And like, they're not even necessarily nice parts. It's just that they exist in his presence. And it's awful for her self-esteem. And she's so confused the whole time. And then one night he offers to feed her. And she's like, I don't want to do that because I don't want everything that comes with it. And he says, okay, I will put my hands on this headboard and I will not move them no matter what. And she's like, even if I forget myself? And he's like, yes, even if you get really horny on me, I will not touch you unless you give me permission. And so she leans down to drink from his neck, and then he grabs her hips. No, he doesn't do that. His hands are on the headboard, and he says, straddle me.
He wants to.
God, he wants to so bad. And so she straddles him, and then she loses her mind, and she starts dry humping him into oblivion while drinking from his
and he's
neck.
like, please release me from my vow. And she's like, no. And then he comes in his pants.
Yes,
like
and breaks the headboard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was great stuff. Then she starts having that memory as a dream and realizing the degree to which he actually wants her. And like she can feel the way he feels emotionally and physically in the dream. And she's
but she can't bring herself to trust that memory because in his outward interactions with her, he's treating her like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's the same thing, right? She's like, it's really wonderful the way that he feels about me, but I guess it's because he feels like this about literally any boobs that are in front of him.
Yeah. By the way, at this point, we have had it described to us what he looks like shifted as a werewolf, and I've never wanted fan art more in my life because I can't picture it.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either. I cannot understand. So I listened to the audiobook for this.
Yeah.
And I re-listened to that part multiple times. I pulled up the book because this book's on KU. I was shocked.
Yeah.
And so I pulled up the book and read it multiple times. And finally I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to whimsy this. Like I can't get stuck here.
It talks about how it's like you can still see him, but there's like a projection of a more ferocious form of him. But he does actually have physical fangs and like he is bigger, but like not. Yeah. I couldn't do it. So I don't know.
Actually, frankly, it's not just I need fan art. I need like an animated video, right? Or an Animorph style cover image of like him shifting into a werewolf so that I can
I tell you what I actually did quasi picture? It was him with like saber-tooth teeth. And then for some reason it was like a blue ghostly form of this monster, like as if he was wearing skin, but it's like ghostly and translucent of his form. It makes no sense, but that's what I pictured.
Mine's worse.
Oh no. I didn't think that was possible.
So, because once this got into my head, I couldn't not have it in my head. I imagined him with little fangies and claws, but fully wearing just a mascot costume that was translucent that you could kind of see through. And it was like a full-on, like, just fuzzy, like, friendly wolf that you would see at, like, a fucking baseball game or something. And then I couldn't, and, like, and whenever it growled, it, like, in my head, because, like, I don't picture books and images really, and so like if I don't understand something though, my brain pauses and it's like, wait, unfortunately I do not picture books and images, but when something confuses me, my brain is like, hang on, I need this image to the atom, okay?
Yeah.
And then my brain just comes up with something, and sometimes it's horrible like that. And so every time it was referenced in this book that he was in his wolf form, my brain was like, please hold. Let me tell you, their mating scene was a ride.
With that image in your head.
It was awful.
I just decided to whimsy the fact that he was shifted. I just was like, he's got teeth and claws, and he is a man.
I couldn't. I listened to that scene once with that awful image in my head, and then I listened again, and I like actively whimsy. Every time my brain was like, "Hey, think about this," I was like, "No, we will not.
I will not see a semi-translucent furry. Thank you so much." God,
no, it'd be one thing if it was a furry costume. Mascot costumes are a whole different ballgame, my friend.
Oh, okay.
Like I would have been fine if he'd been a furry, okay?
Is it the kind of cartoonish?
Yes!
Yeah, you're right. That's
awful!
Yeah, that's terrible. Okay, so now they stop to get gas. And she is mad at him, and I can't remember why. It's because he's been an absolute dick to her. No questions asked. So she goes off and sits on the side of like a building or something. She's separated from him. And all of a sudden, 3 vampires, one of which used to be a demon, not a human, a demempire, they just pop into existence. And she gets up and starts running to him. She's like, Lachlan, running to him. He has to fight his way through like a bunch of shit.
He's also
She gets
super
clawed in
confused
the
because
stomach.
in his head at one point watching these vampire shows, he's like, maybe I should just let her go back to her family. And then she runs to him and he's like, why is she running from the vampires? And realizes that something's wrong.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he, boy, does he love the fact that she ran to him. You know, she could have run anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Loving that she ran to me.
Well, he's also confused as hell that she hasn't traced at all this entire time. And it's like,
No, he asks her in the first scene when he's on top of her in that field, getting her all muddy. He's like, can you trace? And she's like, no, I can't. Because I can't lie.
oh, you're
So
right.
he knows
I'd forgotten
that. Yeah. Anyway, so she gets cut to shit all over her abdomen. And she's bleeding everywhere. And so he kills all these fuckers and he picks her up and he gets her to the car. They're really close to his ancestral estate because he is the king of all werewolves. So he's like, he drives for like 30 minutes and realizes that she's not healing. She's still just like bleeding everywhere. And he's very confused. So then he forces her to eat some of his blood. She's really mad about it until she's not. And then finally she starts healing again. And they arrive at the estate. It's exactly as he left it. He left it in really great hands with like the demon butler.
Harmon?
Yeah, Harmon.
Yeah, something like that. She calls him Manny and he's delighted.
He loves
and like
it.
he's the best character. Frankly.
He's great. Yeah.
Love him.
Way better than those poor serfs in that other vampire book where they wear shit kickers and remember those serfs? Who are like,
man, are you ever going to be able to read a vampire novel without making some comment about Black Dagger Brotherhood?
No, it scarred me. I'm scarred. That's what's happening now. That's what happened to me.
All right, fair.
Anyway.
So she begs him to call her family and have them come get her. And he does call her family, but he does not tell them to come get her. Instead, he finds out that she's half Valkyrie, that she's never even seen a vampire before. She's only 70 years old.
She's a youth.
She's a frail wee baby who needs protection.
She was innocent.
And he's like, oh my God, she's never had a cock in her. What the fuck?
And as this is happening, he keeps on like putting his hand on her hip. And every time he finds out a new revelation about how pure and good she is, he keeps on just like giving her hip a little squeeze. Get away from her, Lachlan, okay? Get the fuck away from her. You're the worst. Until you prostrate yourself in front of her and you crawl on your knees begging for forgiveness, get the fuck away from her. I was very mad. Because he's like, suddenly she is a being worth my respect and time and kindness and care. She's not like other vampires, he thinks to himself. What a dick nose! Ooh, so big mad at him. She's half Valkyrie? Oh, that changes everything, he says to himself. He says,
oh my God.
No wonder her ears are pointed. Why didn't I think of that before? I wonder, Lachlan, is it because you were seeing everything through the lens of hate? Is that
also,
why?
Also, Mel, I'm pretty sure there was not much blood going to his brain this entire book, right?
You're right. You're right. The poor
critical
guy.
thinking was out the window, okay?
Between trying to heal his leg, because everybody keeps on being like, she's eating from you. That's why your leg's not healing. And he's like, worth it.
Which every fucking time they mentioned it, I saw those fucking Deadpool baby legs, and I was like, God fucking damn it. If you were talking about a boner killer, like, oh my God, like, heinous.
One singular Deadpool baby leg.
Just one singular Deadpool baby leg that he's somehow magically walking on. I don't know. It's awful. And they describe it and it makes sense that it's a functioning leg. This book was a wild ride as far as like visualizations were concerned. Like, I don't know how this book was so horny for me. Because like between the mascot wolf, the baby leg, how is Lachlan a sexy hero to me?
Cressley Cole is a wizard. That's what's happening. I know.
So he's also at this point acknowledged and accepted that she is his mate. He's like, this is going to be fucking weird as hell with the rest of the clan. They're not going to accept this. It's going to be sad because she doesn't eat and so she can't share in meals, but like we're going to make it work. I'm going to turn this palace into a palace of spoiling. Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Do you have something to say?
At one point, he asks her, so at home, when you're like just, socially eating or whatever, do you hump everything in sight then too?
Yeah.
And she's like, what? No.
Well, and there's all, so like,
weirdo.
this is a thing throughout the entire book where he asks her very blunt questions and she can't lie. And so she's like, how the fuck do I respond to this?
And she's also like innocent and she likes her privacy. And like, it's weird to talk about somebody's period when they haven't had their period yet. It's embarrassing.
He's straight up. He's like, so like, you bleed once a month?
Yeah.
you pee?
Yeah, I thought you didn't have those needs.
Mm.
The peeing and the pooping. He says at dinner.
And then there's just like
at dinner. Not her dinner, thankfully.
Hey, man,
it
you know what?
Dinner.
I cannot possibly express to you how many times I had conversations. I remember very vivid poop conversations at my grandfather's dining room table over a gigantic pot of hot dog mac and cheese with my family.
Wow, I hate that. I hate that quite a bit. No, we have a rule in our house that there is no potty
you hate
toilet.
the poop or you hate the hot dog mac and cheese?
The combination of talking about any kind of defecation or, expulsion out of the body while consuming.
Grandma never let it.
Something like hot dogs with mac and cheese. Like the hot dogs are in there, right? Like that sort of combination is even worse than if you were doing like a piece of tofu.
5-course chicken Gordon Bleu meal? Like what?
I actually don't know. I think it's the fact that it's sort of viscous, It's like, it's kind of like any kind of porridge or casserole situation.
You ruined it. I had no problems with it until, like, I have learned obviously not to talk about poop at the dinner table, right? But
yes, we have a hard and fast rule at this house, in my house.
I mean, to be fair, Grandma never let it go on for very long,
Of course. Yeah.
So, that but it would, like, come up and then she'd be like, meh.
Excuse me? Yeah, kids will be kids. Wow, how'd we get here? Anyway.
So, there's also a bunch of things where she feels more comfortable. Like, we have so many scenes of them coming together, right? Where, like, he is taking care of their... We had some Melody catnip. Because she is sad her whole life that she has never seen a flower bloom. And so he makes her something called a lunarium, which is a greenhouse that has flowers that are capable of
Oh, hey!
I read that and I was like, oh, this is the point where Melody was like, oh, he's forgiven for all sins.
Lachlan did anything untoward? I don't actually remember that he did anything questionable even.
That is the sexiest Deadpool baby leg I've ever seen in my life.
All of a sudden. Yeah. Yeah, well, and when she wakes up, he makes it very clear that he has done a 180. He's very like, I really regret my actions up until this point.
This must have been so hard for him.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, this is pre-lunarium, so I'm still hoping for the crawling and begging, Anyway, and so she's just like, okay, bro, I guess, but either way, it doesn't matter because I'm leaving after the full moon. That's what you said. Where are my baubles, essentially? Do you have any other notes on him being like, it's going to change from here on out? I regret my point of view up until this point. I know you're a Valkyrie now. Why didn't you tell me that? All the business. He tells her that, like, he knows all and he feels very bad.
Yeah. So this all happens before, by the way, the lunarium.
Yeah.
Because there's a thing that is deeply problematic that happens that's an important plot point.
It's something we should probably want to wash away, right? Start it new afterwards. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Thankfully, the Lunarium would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's just chit-chatting with his best buddy, Bowen. And he's like, yeah, like, she'll feed from me, but, like, we don't touch each other. And, like, I feel like I need to prepare her so that I don't hurt her the night of the full moon. Because apparently what's going to happen the night of the full moon is he's going to fully beast mode it out. And now that he knows she's an innocent, he's like, I am going to rip that cooch in two. And it's not even, like, a sexy rip that cooch in two.
No.
I'm about to fucking rip her nethers to nape with my massive schlong.
And Bowen has some advice.
And Bowen is not jokingly, semi-jokingly, but like also kind of serious about it, says, well, just like get her drunk.
Just do what the human men do. Human men get laid all the time. And it's because they get the ladies drunk.
And Lachlan is like, well, she doesn't drink. And he's like, but like, if you've been drinking. And Lachlan's like, no, I'm going to give it some time. And then he gives it roughly 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's about it.
For her to, he's like, I'm going to see if I can make her be interested in me without doing that.
Right. I had my stopwatch out. It was about 15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, she was sleeping, too.
Yeah.
She was sleeping during that time.
Mm-hmm. She didn't warm up to him, though. So we also have this whole, like, side thing about, like, some lady, Cassandra, we're not even going to talk about it.
Well, the only reason that that's important is because...
because of the fight.
It's because there's a lady who's wanted Lachlan both of their entire lives, and he's like, no, I have a mate out there. And so now she's extra pissed because his mate is not her and is a vampire. So she comes at Emma and tries to beat the crap out of her, and Lachlan's about to jump in when Bowen is like, hey, wait, I think you're not giving your lady enough credit. It looks like somebody trained her. She might, like, hold her own. And in this sort of pack dynamic, she has to hold her own or she's going to be challenged forever. And he's like, yeah, I forgot how packs work. Okay, cool. So he's standing there and she beats Cassandra.
Can you tell we haven't hit the Lunarium yet, listener?
She bests Cassandra, like, knocks her across the room. It's a whole thing. And then as she's going upstairs afterwards, because, Lachlan's like, what the fuck, Cassandra? As she's going upstairs, she sees herself in the mirror. And she sees her eyes have gone gold. And she looks like a little bit more angular. And she looks like a monster. And so he's thinking, like, unfortunately, that kind of helps my case because she probably won't be like, you're the only monster in this relationship now that she's seen herself in this way. And then he goes up and tells her, like, he thinks it is beautiful and really attractive. And, like, it signifies that she's capable and unique. What's up?
He also makes the dumbass comment of, do you think you're that strong enough to do that because of my blood? And so she goes immediately from like, oh, warm and fuzzy, he thinks that I'm like fantastic, to what a man.
Wow.
To assume.
Lachlan. Wow.
And she's not wrong.
No, I had the same thought. Absolutely. So then she's like, you know what? I bet I could test the waters of my own desire with Lachlan, since he is the only being on planet Earth that I've ever even been remotely interested in. So she says, Lachlan, if someone like you were to make love to someone like me, could you be gentle and would you transform? And he's like, I vow to be gentle. I will not transform and I will make it really good for you.
And then she strikes him because there was a scene earlier in this book where she went to strike him and he stopped her and he's like, if you strike me again, I will retaliate. And she's like, you would hit a woman? And he's like, no, but I kiss one. And she's like, oh. And so in this scene, she goes to strike him and he's like, and grabs her and stops her. And she's like, I thought you were going to retaliate.
Ooh, aren't you going to retaliate?
He's like, fuck yeah, I am. And then, boy, retaliate, he does. They are making out. He's inside of her on the bathroom counter.
Like fingering.
Yes.
Because he makes like a stupid mate comment, right?
Yeah, and she's like, what do you...
The fuck do you mean?
You mean like Australian for buddy, right? And he's like, no, you're my mate. And I've been looking for you for a millennia. And I'm so happy that you're here. The reason I couldn't ever find you is because you weren't even born yet.
This poor man.
Because you were born more than halfway into my 150-year torment.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because to be clear, because I'm a numbers person, my brain was like, she's 71 years old. She has been alive for less than half the time that he was being burned almost to death and then brought back to life.
Mm-hmm.
This is youth, TM.
She's a youth. And so now she's like, whoa, get off of me.
And she is horrified at the thought of forever because she's
No. It's not only that. No, absolutely. Justice for Emma on this one. It's not that it's forever. It's that he lied to her, and he lied to her while making her feel like absolute shit about it.
Yes, that's next in my comment.
Sorry.
In my quote.
Whoa, big mad over here. Lunarium is off in the horizon, okay? Oh, so mad.
Yeah, well, because he's like talking about mates, and she's already started having like feelings for him and stuff like that she's confused about and emotions. And he's like, you're my mate and I'm going to keep you forever.
Mm-hmm.
And she is immediately like, wait, forever? That's her record scratch moment is forever. Yeah. What do you mean forever? Like, what are you talking about? I'm young. I haven't even experienced life because Valkyries are one of the only lore creatures that don't have like a bonded mate. So like Lycan have mates, vampires have brides, even demons, which you don't learn this until another book, but like demons basically have to like test it. So they can't just tell their blood bond immediately. But if they fuck them, then they're like, oh,
hey girl.
That's it.
Ghouls never leave the pack that contaminated them because ghouls become ghouls infect other beings to become ghouls. I'm fascinated by that. I would love to know more about that.
Is there a ghoul book?
I feel like no, but who knows? Maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, you're right. After this record scratch moment, she's like, you've been a fucking dick. You straight up lied to me. And you want to know what the most awful thing about that is? I can't lie back to you. Well, this is messed
you didn't
up.
lie to me by being like, you couldn't be my mate because you're a different species, or you couldn't be my mate because you're too beautiful and wonderful.
You did it the most dickwad way possible.
Yeah, you couldn't be my mate because ill, David. Like, what? Why would you do that? That's so mean.
Emma.
Ew.
Oh my God. And there was a part where it was just so funny to me because she starts mimicking him. And oh my God, the narrator for this book
is so good.
When he's doing her mimicking Lachlan was gorgeous. If you don't listen to any other part of that audiobook, go get it out of the fucking library.
It's brilliant. He's brilliant.
And it was fantastic. So she also, this is so funny to me. She looks at him and she's like, forever, I'm your mate. Haven't you ever heard of robbing the cradle? Yes. I'm 71 years old and you're 1,200.
Yeah.
And he's like,
yeah.
I would
also, you lied to me because you said I could go home. And if there's a mate situation happening, it sounds like you weren't ever planning to let me go home. And he's like, no, for sure not. Yeah.
So, but then after she's cooled down a little bit, she does have time, like, takes a moment and acknowledges, like, okay, so I do have these feelings towards him. It's just, this is so fast. And so she basically comes to him. She comes to him. And she's like, hey, can we, like, compromise and take it slow? Mm-hmm. And, like, I go home for a little while. Like, we could date. We can get to know each other. And he says, I won't allow that. I'm going to be keeping you here until you feel differently. And she's like, well, you can't keep me prisoner. And he says, I can't, but the sun can. Lachlan,
get it together.
Listener, this book is Lachlan writing the manual for how to fuck it all up.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
piece after piece after piece.
Absolutely. He looks at a situation and he says, what's the reasonable thing? How about we just set it on fire instead?
So he does agree that she can call her family. And so she... Oh my God, this had me fucking dying. So she calls and is talking to her nutty Aunt Nix, okay? Aunt Nix is a little woo-woo, right? Because she can see the future. And so she's kind of half present, kind of half not. And she knows things that she doesn't share with everyone.
And before this trip, she told Emma, she's like, are you excited to like enact your destiny? And she's like, I don't know what the fuck that means, but here we go.
By the way, there's been some stuff happening in the background. And so basically Emma's like, I need Andrea. What's that aunt's name? Amaric? Nope. Amarantha?
Anique?
Nope. That's the
No.
wrong name. The aunt that is basically her mom figure.
Yeah.
She's like, I need her to come save me. And Nix is like, you're pretty low on the list of priorities right now. We've been attacked. Like, we've got a lot going on.
We're super busy over here.
You're just going to have to hang out there. And Emma's like, well, what if I just tell you where I am and, like, somebody can come get me? And Nix is like, oh, I've always known where you were. Like, that's not the problem. And she's like, what the fuck, Aunt Nix?
Annika.
And Nix is like, yeah, nope, sorry, you just deal with it. Like, he's not going to hurt you. If you legitimately were afraid for your life, we would do something, but, like, you're fine. And Emma's like, please come get me. And Nix is like, nope, and I'm going to go so that Annika's,
Trace,
like,
the GPS boy can't find
you. And then Nix hangs up. And then we find out later that Emma kept calling home and Nix kept answering and hanging up. She hung up on her like 10 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Nix. I need Nix's book yesterday. Okay.
Right. Okay. You know what? One thing that we haven't clued listener in on is that there is a very specific vampire that is like the king of the horde. And he's the one who specifically designed all of Lachlan's tortures over the last 150 years. So Lachlan thinks that he like can't be a good mate or a good man or a sane person unless he gets revenge by killing this dude. And she is getting to the point where she's like, well, but if you want to be with me and like you're okay, she has a dream where she finds out that he's fine with not having kids because they think that because she's a vampire, she's infertile. And he's like, yeah, no, I don't mind that at all because I have her. And so she like understands that in his bones, he's fine with not having kids. And she's thinking to herself, like, well, if he can give up something monumental like that, why can't he give up this stupid revenge and just stay with me? And so she's asking him to do that. And he's very like, absolutely not. I have to kill this guy. I need to kill like all vampires. And she's like, I don't know who my dad is. How are you supposed to like keep my dad aside if you're doing this? And then she says, what if my dad is King Horde Man, who you specifically need to demistru? Yeah.
I'm really sad. I was waiting this entire time for you to try and remember his name and say it out loud. And I'm really distressed that you didn't.
You ruined it.
Yeah, because I was sitting here waiting for like a minute and a half. By the way, we did have a message from somebody that was like, it would be amazing if y'all made a compilation episode where it was just nothing but cuts of Melody trying to remember people's names and coming up with the wrong one.
Yeah.
And I haven't responded yet, but like I saw it and I was like, that would bring so much joy to my life.
Hilarious.
That would also be so much fucking work. It would also be like 7.5 hours long.
Who knows? I mean, listener, if you have that audio skill, because the reason that I haven't done something like that is because every time I try, it sounds terrible to me because I just don't know the right audio things to do to like transition from one to the other or whatever. If you've got suggestions that are actually technical, let a bitch know because I am...
You have that clocked?
No. We've had listeners in the past be like, can you make a compilation of all of your lady loves or like all of the end parts, all of the keep being a badasses? And I'm like, technically, I have the tools and the material to do that, but I have not been able to do it effectively. So, you know.
Anyway, yeah. So going on, she's like, what if he's my dad? And Lachlan's like, back couldn't possibly.
Couldn't be possible because you're sweetness and light and purity and beauty. And he is all that is wrong with the world. This bad leech man. Oh, I hate him so much. Okay, so now he gets her drunk. He roofies her with alcohols. And he's like, yeah, drink from me, baby. Ooh. And she's like, wait, you smell like booze. And he's like, I had like a dram or two. She's like, well, then no. And then he nicks his neck and
it was
tempts her
already
too much.
nicked. It was already
that's right.
nicked.
That's right.
He leans forward to like brush
give
her
her a
hair out of her
bauble.
face or something like that. Yeah,
No,
or like
gives
oh,
her
give her a
jewelry.
shiny.
Yeah.
What a fucking dick. And she is like into it for a hot second, and then she realizes like she feels weird, and she's like, "No, don't touch me." And he actually
She's doing
listens
a big
to her.
wooze. Yeah.
Thank God. And so she decides to get revenge. And the next night, her revenge is a blood-sucking blowjob. And oh my God, he is so fucking into it. But before he can come, she sucks so much blood out of him that he passes out.
And that's her plan. Her plan, because this is also the night of the full moon. So he's thinking to himself, I don't know if this is responsible for me to start with like the hottest blowjob of my life that I never even contemplated asking
Oh my
for.
God. He literally is like, this is how you're drinking. This is how you're eating from now on, is off my dick. Like, you're never getting blood from me unless it's out of my cock.
Turns out I like the fangs down there. Yeah. And so he passes out and she's like, okay, shoes, car, get the fuck out of here. And as she can't find a car or keys or whatever. And so then it turns out she's kind of roofied herself with lichen instincts.
She can feel the moon and she can hear a voice.
A voice, run.
The forest. And she's like, I can't go into the forest. He's going to find me there immediately. He is a forest.
And she's
man.
like, hold on. I think I like the idea of him finding me. And then she hears him like roar and he's running after her. And she's like, yeah, this is exactly what I want and need. So she runs in order to be caught. And then when he tackles her to the ground, she's like backing it up on him and like really trying to tempt him and everything. And he's like, you don't need to do that. You don't ever need to do that because it's like 100% of the time I want to fuck you and I'm trying to keep it together. And she's like, let the beast loose. And so he fucks her into the ground for her first time on the full moon. She says, transform. And he's like, are you sure? And she's like, yes, please do it the whole way. She says, I love you. I love all of you. Or maybe it's want. But either way, she is communicating acceptance of his beast as well. And as soon as she gets like through that experience and she understands what the mate bond feels like from his side, she's like schnurfling on him. She's touching his face, being like, I'm the luckiest girl in the whole wide world. And then, monumentally, she trusts him to go to sleep in the field. And he promises her to get her inside and into safety before the sun comes up. And she's like, I don't know if I can do this. It's against every instinct that I have. But it actually also feels really good. And so she does it. And that didn't come back and bite anybody in the ass. And I was a little bit surprised about it, honestly, with the way that he'd been acting before that. Yeah. So they're mates now. And she's completely and utterly into it. She gets it now. She's on board. So now everything goes sideways. We've taken care of the internal conflict. Now it's all about external shit. The aunts arrive. They get through the witchified barriers. They have a sword to his junk, and they've got arrows to his face. And they're like, let us take our niece home. And he's like, you can go fuck yourself. And she's never going to see you again now that I know what harpies you are, basically. And she is like, hey, everybody, I should get a say in this, and neither of you should make me choose. And before we can resolve that at all, a vampire saunters in to be like, hey girl, been looking everywhere for you. And so now he and the Valkyries are fighting against a bunch of vampires in the fucking foyer of this castle. Yep. She's trying to fight. He's trying to push her back and like sends her flying across the room or whatever. And then she realizes in this moment that this is probably her destiny. She doesn't want him to enact his revenge. She can't super, do anything about that. But if she enacts it for him, then it'll happen. So for the first time in her life, she squeezes all of her sphincters and she manages to trace across the room.
I also have a question, real quick.
Yeah.
One of the dreams that she has had from Lachlan's memories is of Demestru looking into Lachlan's eyes. And she feels like Demestru's looking through Lachlan's eyes at her and all of this. And she has started to suspect that Demestru is Daddy Dearest because he is blonde and left-handed.
Yeah. No, that's like a DNA test, Sabrina. That's 1, 2, 3 ancestry right there.
All right. Any genetic statistician listeners out there?
Mm-hmm.
This made me pause for a solid several minutes looking up information on the internet.
No! I whimsied this hard.
I couldn't. I went down a rabbit hole. I found so many differing percentages because I can do the math myself, right? That's not a problem. But I want to know the likelihood, right? I want to know the percentage of the population that is blonde and left-handed, okay?
What happened in my brain, I looked at this and I said, Cressley Cole told me that I can walk into a court of law with he's blonde and he's left-handed and I can get child support.
We don't need Maury for this, right?
No. Maury should have, there was way easier ways to do this, Maury, okay? All of you lab rats out there, you don't need that because she is 100% correct about this.
God, talk about a scam you could have pulled in 1772, you know?
If only. Yeah.
God. Anyway, she does successfully trace to this vampire for her first time, and then that vampire does trace her to Dracula's castle.
Demestru.
Yep.
Yeah.
They get there, and Emma immediately regrets it. She's like, maybe this was like a slightly foolhardy
bring a weapon
decision. And Lachlan, meanwhile, is back there, and he's freaking out.
Losing his ever-loving mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Understandably. So she has decided that it's time to make things right for Lachlan, even if it means taking his vengeance from him. Yeah. And to make things right for her coven and get revenge and kill Demestru. And she's the one who has to do it because her entire fucking life, everybody talks constantly about how shitty vampires are.
Yeah.
To her face, and she's like, I'll just take care of the problem at the source.
I'm going to take my self-hatred, and I'm going to do something productive with it.
And guess what? It doesn't matter if I die doing this, because as long as Demestru is dead, who cares about a little vampy bitch?
Yeah, am also vampire. Good riddance.
They don't even know that they hate me. But they do.
It's in there, though. Oh, yeah.
Y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Have fucked up so hard. So she walks into that room. And
I do have several questions for you, though.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because just like logistics times, and maybe I missed it, but they're currently in Scotland before she traces to Helvetica or whatever the castle is called.
In Russia.
And that's in Russia.
Yeah.
So then, we find out that she walks into this place pretty much the second she gets her feet on that Russian soil. Then, a while later, after a bunch happens...
Lachlan gets there?
Lachlan gets there from Scotland.
Not only does he get there from Scotland, he gets to Russia from Scotland and then scent tracks her through the snow.
Because mate now.
Yeah.
Because she can do that with mate stuff now. But, did the mate bond get him to Russia first? How did he get to Russia?
Whimsy. I like how you couldn't whimsy that, and I couldn't whimsy blonde and left-handed.
What? Because so we watch her whole chapter, and there's a scream at a pivotal moment. And then in his chapter, he's like, I'm here now. What is this scream? And so
also,
he's gotten there in less than 10 minutes.
My favorite
Did a vampire
thing
trace him there?
He spent decades looking for Helvetica.
For his brother. He wanted to find his brother.
Uh-huh. But he spent decades doing it and he couldn't find it. And then he gets to the place he got captured, walks to the top of the next hill. And Helvetica is right there. That's fucked up.
I had to believe that it was one of those situations where, like, the mate bond got rid of whatever veil was there or something.
That's what I did too.
Because otherwise,
I was
like that would be...
That sucks.
would be devastating.
I could live... like, I don't know that I could live. You know what I mean? Like, my God.
Yeah.
You should have put me down in those catacombs, right? Like, oh my God, this is the worst thing. This is worse than 150 years of torture. This is like the fucked up equivalent of going and like buying a brand new thing because you can't find the thing.
Turns out you were wearing it the whole time.
Yeah. Buying a new phone over the phone. Because you can't find your phone.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Anyway, so let's get to her really important chapter. He confirms that he is, in fact, her father.
Mm-hmm.
And she is checking out the decorative swords that are on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Wondering which sword would probably be the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And he is like, I'm a fiend. I'm a vampire fiend with red eyes. And all I can think about is bloodlust. And I do have all those memories, so I have become a bit of a crazy pants. Mm-hmm. And I need to kill you because my second in command has been trying to find you so that he can forcibly marry you.
The only one who will be accepted as leader of the vampires needs to be royal blood. Like
needs to be connected by the bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
So it could either be this forebearer bullshit Kristoff or whatever his name is, or somebody can force you to marry them and then they can be king of the horde. Mm-hmm. And that's what his second in command has been searching the globe to do. So she's like, okay, are you done mustache twirling? Because it's my turn to just cut you down. And then they start fighting. Oh, we also find out that like he lived with her mom as a Valkyrie and she was trying to get him to stop drinking directly from the source. Because of the way that it impacted him with like, oh, no. She tried to get him to stop killing in order to eat because that's what turns you into a horde bloodlust.
She also
vampire.
Was eating actual food with him, which like, that didn't make any sense to me because Valkyries don't have to eat either, you know?
No, but they explained that in the end.
Oh, because she knew. She knew she had to do that. Okay. That makes sense.
Which is... that's one of the, I don't know why it's like so, I feel like it's so clever. But the fact
it's so
they're
smart.
Like, no, I know. They're like the two things that humans do that the Lord don't do is eat and repopulate. And so if you eat, then you can repopulate. What? Mm-hmm. That's bananas. Anyway.
And that your body needs different nutrition when it's growing a little egg.
Yeah. So anyway, she manages to wound him enough that he starts bleeding out. And once he bleeds out all of that murder blood, his eyes go not red anymore. And he's
now
like, oh my gosh, I'm back in my own brain and I'm not clouded by this bloodlust nonsense. And so I need you to kill me. And I'm going to be so proud of you, daughter mine, when you kill me, because that's the only thing that'll make the world better.
Also, here's exactly how to kill me.
Yeah. Don't fuck it up. I'm going to give you the manual on how to kill me. And the answer is many pieces, more pieces than you think is the answer. Mm-hmm. And so she does. She just starts hacking at him. But the decorative sword was more decorative than she would have liked because it's not sharp. And so she does have to hack at him like axe style.
It's awful. It's awful.
For each one of the cuts.
Also importantly, what has prompted a lot of like, this becomes important in a hot second. Yeah. She Valkyrie screams and shatters the windows.
That's the one.
And now there's sun flooding into this room. And so they're in the shadows while she's going like full shitty chainsaw. Texas Chainsaw Massacre on him.
Yeah.
And then he's dead. And the second in command, Evo.
Sure.
walks in and he's like, oh my gosh, look how beautiful you are and like vengeful. And I can't wait to force you to drink the blood straight from the vein of all of these humans and kill them so that you also go crazy and forget all about Lachlan and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, get fucked, dude. And launches herself out of the window into the sun. And like is desperately trying to trace. And so we zippy zap.
We zippy zap to his perspective. So he walks in there just as Evo's like, she's still alive, I know it, I'm sure of it. Go get the video of what just happened because I'm going to get such a boner when I witness her killing my former supervisor. And he then walks in and he's like, she's my mate.
That is the funniest way you could possibly put that, but you're right.
And so he then kills Evo and he gets that recording. And then he's like, I bet she went home. So I'm going to take that secret passage from this castle to my castle that only takes 10 minutes to get from Scotland to Ireland. No, to get from Russia to Scotland. That's what he does.
But she's not there.
No, she didn't run to him, Sabrina, okay? She didn't run to him in her desperate time of need. She went to New Orleans, right outside of her coven. Oh, it hurts him right in his heart that she went back to her aunt's.
Oh, he does follow her there. He follows her there, and she's in a bad way.
Oh, she's fucked. In every single way. And she keeps on saying crazy shit that could never be true.
I killed Demestru, and her family's like, "Aw, sweetheart."
She's delusional.
Have some blood.
She's hallucinating. Oh my God, poor thing.
So he gets there, and he's like, "Let me in. My blood is the only thing that's going to heal her." And they're like, get fucked, werewolf. And they straight up lock him and his brother. No, him and his brother in underneath like the house.
The basement.
And then he's like,
go get the video so you can watch her kill Demestru. And then he's like, I can't get out any of these 4 ways.
He is like, I can't get through the wall. I can't get through the floor. I bet I can get through the ceiling.
Yeah, the witches didn't think about the ceiling, turns out.
So then he does make his brother Gareth hold the house up while he chews through the floor like the devil's mouse.
The ceiling. No, his ceiling. He's jumping up to do like a piranha plant chomp on that ceiling and try to work his way through it.
This is a rat infestation from hell. So he does get up there. He does save her, and he's like giving her blood, and he has like a little chat with Nutty Aunt Nyx, and she says some more prophecy stuff that will probably at some point come back, and I will have completely forgotten about until it gets mentioned in a future book.
Yeah. And then she lays down the law with her family. She's like, Mother Annika, you gotta stop this bullshit. We're together for eversies now. You are okay with Mist and Roth.
We also have some cute scenes where he's like, if you love me, because they finally say it out loud to each other. He's like, if you love me, then why did you come here instead of Scotland? And she's like, dumbass, it was sunny in Russia, which means it's going to be sunny in Scotland.
It was nighttime here.
Like, why the fuck wouldn't I come to New Orleans?
And he's like, OMG, I never even thought of that. Meanwhile, Regan, 2 of her aunts, Regan and Nyx, I just have to go back really quick, are standing in the room as he like feeds her to save her life. And I didn't know how to feel about that. You know what I mean?
What, you don't stand there and watch your family have horny blood-sucking times?
I mean, if you know you're going to get the ragiest boner in existence, maybe don't do it in front of your in-laws, you know? And then we find out that they can have kids as long as she starts eating some hoagies.
Yeah.
And that's it. Goodbye. End of book. Great job.
Yeah.
What a book. Yeah. What a book. Also, okay, I need Bowen's book. Don't worry, he gets a book.
You're going to like it. I've read that one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, shit.
I'm actually rereading it right now.
Okay. But how is the next book not Lucia and Gareth?
So, I can
They're
answer
book, like,
that.
9 or something insane.
So, I can answer that. So, it's a big part of it is that So I've read through the 4th book. I've read through Bowen's book, which means when we're doing a quickie. Spoiler alert, listener.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that's kind of all happening at once. They made a couple of mentions in this book to the lore's version of like the amazing race.
Yes.
And the next book, Katarina the Cold, has always won.
Oh.
The next book is her in this race because it was coming up.
Okay.
And so it's her book. She finds, the love of her life and all of that jazz and has feelings for the first time again in, millennia.
She can see colors now.
Yeah. And you see some scenes with Bowen. And so like the next 2 books are kind of happening at the same time.
Yeah, because Gareth is the one who howls at the moon in Mist and Roth's book outside of the grounds. Then Gareth saves her here, and then afterwards she finds something out and gets spooked and goes running. And so Gareth goes to chase her, and they're not the next book. They might be book 9. I really think it might be book 9. It was something shocking to me that we're like on this cliffhanger for so long. And who knows? We'll probably find out more.
And I bet money, just because Kresley Cole likes an angst, I would bet money it's going to be like years in the future. And he's been trying to get her. He's been like trying to get her, and she's been on the run for years.
That makes sense. All right, Sabrina, what's your lady love?
So before Steamy LitCon, I ordered hair dye. It was supposed to get here the Monday before I left for my trip. And it did, in fact, get to my P.O. box 3 hours after I got on an airplane for California.
Oh, wow.
I was distressed.
Sad town.
Which means my hair dye is here. I finally feel like a functioning fucking human being again after my 2-week, essentially, trip to California. And you know what? It's been months. I used to have my hair dyed constantly for like 2 years in a row, and I miss it. And you know what? God damn it. If you miss a thing, do the thing.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to dye my hair. Next time you see me, I'm going to have green hair.
I love that. My lady love is do that front flip. Are you 37? Oh. Did you panic get passes to a trampoline park because you didn't know what to do with your children now that they're home from day camp for a month? If you're there already, as a result, contemplate a front flip.
Listener, Mel sent me the cutest video of Valor being like, it's like, you can do this. Like, this is how you do it. And Mel, like an absolute nut, I don't know if you know this, listener, because not everybody has seen you, right? Not like...
Right.
Mel wears glasses.
All the
Mel
time.
did a front flip into a foam pit with her glasses. And that was like my first comment when I saw the video. No, second comment. It's the first one. Oh, how cute. Oh, how cute. And then I was like, and I cannot believe you did that with your glasses on.
I didn't even contemplate taking my glasses off because my depth perception would be off then. You know?
You want to know what would really cause your depth perception to be off?
Not being able to drive home because I broke my glasses.
Losing your glasses in a fucking foam pit.
You're right. You're completely right. Yeah. So this actually started because Jenny Nordback posted herself doing a front flip at a park somewhere.
Trampoline park.
And I was like, oh my God, you're an absolute badass. And she was like, okay, next time you go, I better get a video of you doing a front flip. So I was like, oh, I don't think I can. And when I got up there, I like did a bounce to go into this thing. And
It's terrifying.
I stopped dead. And I was just like, oh no, I think I've made a horrible mistake. And then Valor climbed up out of the foam pit, gets to my side, and she's just like, Mom, it's soft as a pillow. Okay, so you can do it. Let's count. And then she counts me in, and I just didn't. I turned my brain off. And I was like, when she gets to 3, I go. And so
you sure the fuck did turn your brain off. Your glasses wearing ass. I'm not shocked by that statement.
Oh, hey, everybody, we're on YouTube. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. We're on the channels. We've got a channel over there, both audio and video of more contemporary episodes. And you can tell because I made a different graphic for the video one that has our faces in there. So go enjoy. All right.
Okay.
Keeping a badass. Oh, TikTok too. Go follow us on TikTok, man.
Okay, you listener,
On
we're just
socials.
gonna run it through. I know that we talk about some of them in our actual like outro, but we have TikTok, we have Threads now. We're on Threads.
Yes.
We have Instagram, Facebook.
Instagrams.
We're
The Facebook
we're
group.
Twitterins a little bit.
Oh, we're not Twitter.
We don't. Hang on. We don't respond on Twitter. We don't look at Twitter, but we do post to Twitter.
Right. We toggle the toggle for Twitter to go.
Yeah. Things get sent to Twitter through some like whatever. But like if you message us, that is not where to message us.
I'm so sorry.
To be
We don't
clear,
know.
we will
We don't know
never
her.
see that. Like any of you who have tried messaging us on like Facebook to the Heaving Bosoms Facebook account will know. We'll get back to you in like 7 to 8 business months there.
Yes.
Twitter, it's going to be like never, probably.
Yeah, it'll be roughly never.
So-
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Anyway.
And YouTube's is happening. So
Yep.
go over there
Mhm.
because it's really fun, actually. And you get to see how much editing actually goes into an episode.
Oh, yeah, because you can see like the cut.
The cut scenes will like randomly move around a little bit.
So, keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love gaslighting yourself about whether or not you mood at an author. Gaslight yourself about whether or not the intrusive thoughts won. You know?
Yes. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by Melody Carlisle.
Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, leave a nice review, and of course, tell all your friends about us, even if they don't read romance.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, on TikTok at Heaving_Bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult.
Head over to our website to sign up for our newsletter, get our Reading Embrace printable, and check out my audiobooks at heavingbosoms.com. All right, we'll be back next week with more swoons and snark. See you then.